Welcome back to another installment of FootballNewsNow.com. I am Chuck Carroll, the senior writer, and joining me today, the grand poobah, if you will, of RaiderNews.com, aficionado of all things Oakland Raiders, Mr. Jerry Cardoza. Jerry, how are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here again.
Well, thank you for coming on with us again, especially given the holiday weekend. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Oh, certainly did. It was family day.
Did you get your fill of turkey and stuffing and all the traditionals?
Way too much.
All right. So, when last we talked, Jason Campbell was the starter out there in Oakland. It looked like he was going to be the starter for all 16 games, and that only lasted about 6 quarters. Flash forward, here we are headed into a Week 12 showdown against the Miami Dolphins. Head coach Tom Cable said earlier in the week Campbell's going to be the starter against the Dolphins. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case. I mean, Jerry, is it going to be Jason Campbell or is it going to be Bruce Gradkowski on Sunday?
I don't know. I think it will depend what kind of mood they are when Cable's in when he wakes up Sunday morning.
Who do you think is the better choice for the team, given the way that Hugh Jackson has the offense structured?
Each has strengths. Gradkowski gets rid of the ball a lot quicker than Campbell does, but Campbell really does have a better arm and is able to do more, I think, than Gradkowski. So, I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the others. I think what the Raiders are trying to say to everybody is they really don't think they have a quarterback yet. And this kind of shows it when you're in Week 12 and you really don't know who your starting quarterback should be. I don't know.
Do you think that it would be in the best interest to just, pick either Campbell or Gradkowski, doesn't really matter who, and just stick with them for the sake of consistency?
Yeah, I do. I think they should name Campbell the starter. And then they could do like they did way back when LaMonica was the starting quarterback and he was having off and on games. And when he was not having a great game, they would not hesitate to bring Blanda in and he would pull off his little miracle. But LaMonica remained the starter the entire year. And I think that they should do the same thing. And take a game like last week when Campbell couldn't do anything with Pittsburgh's defense, well, then sure, you make a switch. But then I think the following week, Campbell should go back and be the starter, exactly for what you said. Consistency for the first team, the whole unit, so that they just know that he's the quarterback.
And, I actually think that, the benching of Campbell, or in this case, the potential benching of Campbell has, much larger implications than just who's going to start on Sunday. I think that Cable is really showing his cards with Al Davis. I mean, Al Davis has come out and he's, obviously a Jason Campbell supporter. He was also a Jamarcus Russell supporter. So this is 2 times in as many seasons that, the head coach has gone against the owner's wishes.
Yeah.
If this doesn't work out for Tom Cable, I think that his days in Oakland are numbered. I mean, what do you think about that?
I think that could very well happen. I really think they're grooming Hugh Jackson to take over. They're letting him do all these press conferences.
Do you think that Al Davis would pull the trigger, within the next few games if the Raiders, aren't able to get back on the winning track? And
I don't think he would pull the trigger until after the season's over. It's just they've had a good year. I think they have the guy in place they want to replace him. There would be no sense of urgency to do that when you just wait till the season's over and then pull the plug. Everybody got a chance to get over it and readjust, and as we've been doing for so many years, start over. Although this Raider team is better, is improved, and I think they are on the upswing.
How do you see the last 6 games playing out, and do the Oakland Raiders still have a realistic chance of making a playoff run?
Well, they do. I really think they do because it does come around the last 6 games, and if they can stay healthy, their defense actually has gotten to be pretty solid. That game last week, you can't keep them on the field for 60 minutes and expect them to keep score down, but I think they can. I think they've got a great chance. In fact, I think they should beat the Dolphins. They still play Jacksonville, which is up and down. They play the Chiefs, Chargers, and Broncos, who they have already beaten this year, all 3 of them. So I think they have a chance, but I still tend to think they're going to more come out 8-8 and maybe just miss, which that'd be a great season compared to the last 8 years.
You know, among some of the bigger disappointments this year has been the continued injuries to Chaz Schillens. As you and I have emailed back and forth, I think that I've kind of expressed, frustration as far as, his lack of productivity and inability to be on the field. I mean, at what point do the Oakland Raiders just need to say enough is enough with this guy and just cut ties?
I think this is it for him. If he can't get healthy again and be ready to play by the 2011 season, I think he'll get some kind of injury release. And because he's getting hurt, and it's not from contact. It's not from anything like that. It's just not a good sign. There's just something wrong there. And it'd be a shame. He really is the best receiver the Raiders have. Although I think Jacoby Ford is going to emerge as their best receiver here shortly.
Which leads me to my next question. He could very well be the answer. What do you think, 10 games in, has been the biggest surprise thus far?
That's been Jacoby Ford. Because you watch him, and he runs great routes, and he fights the defenders for the ball. He takes it away, and he catches it away from his body like, wide receiving 101. And I just think he's going to develop into a top-notch receiver. Murphy's a little inconsistent, but I like him. But I think Hayward Bay's a bust, and I don't think he'll ever. And I think McFadden's been a great surprise also, only in the fact that it looks like he's finally learned to not just run at guys. He's putting moves on them a little more elusive. And I think that was all he needed. He's got the speed.
A big boost for the Raiders tomorrow, getting Asamoah back in the secondary. And with the Dolphins having quarterback issues of their own, of course, all signs point to Chad Henne being under center. But, how much of a factor would he have been last week against Roethlisberger and the Steelers? Maybe not necessarily would have given the Raiders a win, but he certainly should have been able to keep the score a little bit closer, no?
Oh, yeah, I think so. And whoever he was guarding, well, he would have pretty much taken him out of the game. And that would have limited Roethlisberger's options, and I'm sure that would have been a lot different. But, when they lost to the Patriots the week before, I thought this is not a good week to play the Pittsburgh Steelers at home.
And two more questions for you here, Jerry, before I let you go. Earlier we talked about the biggest surprise of the season, so let's turn the tables. What has been the biggest disappointment this year for the Raiders?
Hayward Bay. Real simple. Darius Hayward Bay. They said, off season, how he improved and how did all these great things. He was looking good in shorts, but as the season wore on, he's been very non-productive again. Second year, first-round pick. He's not as bad as Russell, but he's certainly, I think, going to be a big bust.
All right. And then last question here for you. If not the Raiders in the West, do you see the San Diego Chargers eventually taking the title?
Yes. I think Kansas City really, if you look at their record, they're Jekyll and Hyde on the road and home. And not being able to win on the road is going to cost. This will be a big game for them. Seattle plays well at home, and the Chiefs don't play well on the road, so that'll be a big test for them. But I just don't see Kansas City making it.
Jerry Cardoza from RaiderNews.com. Thank you so very much for taking the time to speak with us, my friend.
You're very welcome. It was my pleasure.